With elementary schools cutting back on extracurricular activities, the children are not the only ones being affected. Chris Rook takes a look at how it impacts local businesses.
Outside of school, after hours, should be filled with students playing games and having fun. This is no longer the case. The Ontario government passed a bill on March 12th, banning strikes and protests by teachers for 2 years. The teachers have been advised by their union to cut extracurricular activities out of protest. But how is this going to affect the children, and even more so, the surrounding businesses?
The Safety Village, here on Sports World Drive, is one of the Catholic School Board and Public School Board's field trip hotspots. But due to the extracurricular activities being cut, this place has recently struggled. We spoke with Lee Fitzpatrick, leader of the Safety Village Committee Board, to get his thoughts.
We at the Children's Safety Village, we run a number of programs, grade 1 to 5, and those courses are populated by students, elementary level, from both the public and the Catholic school boards. And what we've seen is, as a result, we've had a number of cancellations, as many as 80 to 85 in the last month or two, which has had an impact filling those gaps and recognizing that the kids, as I mentioned earlier, are not going to have that opportunity because the public school won't send the buses here, they won't send the kids here.
To gain a better understanding on how this is going to affect the students, we spoke with public school teacher Pina Carnevale to get her thoughts.
I think that extracurricular activities, whether they be field trips or teams, student council, whatever they may be, do better on teams, do better in more social activities, that to have those taken away from them could really hinder their whole experience of the day, of the year in total.
With surrounding businesses struggling and children being upset at school, extracurricular activities could not come back fast enough. For Spoke TV, I'm Chris Rook.
Hunters and gun safety activists don't always see eye to eye. Stephanie Snedden takes a deeper look at how both groups are aiming to put safety first.
I'd say gun education is very, very important. Guns are very dangerous, lethal machines. People can get killed or kill somebody if they don't use them properly.
Daryl Beakey, an avid woodsman, loves few things more than hunting. As someone who's been hunting for nearly 30 years, he knows gun education is no joke. Although Canada's long gun registry was recently terminated, gaining access to a firearm is still an extensive and rigorous process. In Ontario, every gun hunter must pass both the Canadian Firearms Safety Course exam as well as the Ontario Hunter Education Course exam. These exams help to ensure safe conduction of firearm and hunting regulations. The laws of hunting legally here in Ontario are strict. There are specific times, methods, and seasons of hunting that are only allowed in a particular area for a particular animal during a specified period. Firearms instructor Jim Salisbury explains why gun education is so important.
It ensures that people who are going to possess firearms know how to use them properly, know how to store them properly, transport them properly, so they don't injure themselves or someone else.
Hunting is a tradition that's exceptionally prevalent in Ontario. Statistics show that there are more than 400,000 hunters in the province alone, and all of those hunters know that careless hunting is considered an offense. Hunters who shoot firearms negligently without discretion for persons or property are liable for a fine of up to $25,000, imprisonment, or both, with eligibility to be subject to charges under the criminal code.
The other thing with gun education, it's very, very important that people are taught how to handle guns. I remember back to when I was 15 years old and took hunter safety, and the first two things that I learned are treat every gun as if it was a loaded gun, and number two, never point at anything you don't intend to kill.
Although obtaining a gun and hunting license is a strenuous and significant process, some people may be unaware of just how diligent the procedure really is. With recent devastating shootings in both Canada and the United States, some people are more concerned than ever about gun use near residential neighborhoods. David James, a father who lives in a neighborhood near popular hunting areas, explains his worries about being too close to guns.
I think my biggest concern would be for the kids. Living so close to a wooded area and cornfields and farmers' fields and whatnot, having trails that do go through them with the kids playing around, I think that, that'd be any parent's worry.
This poses the question, how can hunters and the general public come together in unison?
I would have to say I don't know if there is one, but maybe a buffer zone. Being so close to populated areas with kids and other families, I think if we knew for sure that they had some sort of area that they weren't allowed to hunt within, I don't know if they do or not, but I think that would definitely put a lot of people at ease, knowing that people weren't allowed to hunt so close to houses.
Although there is a specified distance hunters must be from residential housing, most residents are unaware of these regulations, validating their concern.
As long as you can show competency again on using them, and you have a good background, so things like violent crime, trafficking and narcotics, things like that, you'll have a hard time getting a gun license.
Hunting is a traditional pastime exerted and treasured by many Canadians. And although guns are generally viewed as a negative thing, hunters ensure they only use them for the positive. For Spoke TV, I'm Stephanie Snedden.
Working out was not just about looking good for Scott Cook. It was about feeling good, as bodybuilding is what saved his life. Mike Selish brings us his story.
I was always small. I was always tinier than everyone. I got cut from AAA. In my last year of high school, I got into working out. I fell in love with it. How much can I lift? But my dream was always to be a bodybuilder. If I wouldn't have been who I was, so muscular and strong, I would have died for sure.
Meet Scott Cook, a family man at 29 with a strong passion for bodybuilding.
I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder. That was kind of my goal. Everyone has like a dream, I guess you could say. My goal was obviously making a living and supporting my wife and getting a house, and I had different goals, but my dream was always to be a bodybuilder.
Being a bodybuilder isn't what makes Scott a special case. It was the plum-sized tumor that was deeply rooted in his brain.
Because the tumor was in my pineal gland, which controls sex hormone production, and it was also in my pituitary gland, which controls growth hormone production. So I think that's why I was so little as a child, because I had a tumor blocking those areas. Now that I don't have a tumor anymore, it's just come back to me like crazy. So
Scott explains the main reason why he got into bodybuilding.
About 18 last year of high school, I started working out with my dad. He was starting to get a lot out of shape, and we wanted to start hitting the gym, and I was a little skinny kid, so I thought it was great too. So I started hitting the gym and learning more and more every year, more and more about how to gain muscle, the best way to bodybuild, because that's what I was into, was bodybuilding.
Dave Cook, Scott's father, explains what it was like to learn of his son's tragedy and how he had coped with it.
I've never heard about brain tumors before, and we were led to believe by the doctors at the hospital that night that our son might not make it through the night. And that was tough. You want to be loud about the good points. You want to be loud about the positives. And I just think, yeah, if you can have positivity, that's a huge way to move through difficult times.
Through Scott's entire ordeal, his wife Jessica was right there with him. She shares what this life-changing event meant to her.
We had to adapt to a new normal. So I remember seeing his mom and I remember seeing a poster and his dad in the hospital. It was when we first got there that said, "A brain tumor changed our lives forever." It's like, why? Why is it going to change? Isn't he just going to have an operation and he's going to come out and everything's going to be fine? To look at our life now, and if Scott didn't make it, we wouldn't have our son that we have now. So
being diagnosed with cancer was not easy for Scott, and he explains how he managed his emotions.
I thought I was treated kind of like dead man walking. Everyone was saying, "Good luck, son. Hope best for you, son." Blah blah blah. Chaplain came with me in the ambulance just in case I would imagine died there. She gave me my last rites, kind of thing. It all happened so fast that I didn't know what to think. I was just so lucky to have my wife, my parents, and my family there to support me and keep me positive.
Today, Scott reflects on the memories that he will carry forever, and he uses them to drive home the message of staying positive and never giving up.
I hope that one day definitely be off disability, working for my own, and show my son about hard work and earning a living and everything that I learned of, And that was why I survived, and now I feel a total responsibility to give back, and bodybuilding allows me to do that for sure. Save my life again. Now I do it for charitable reasons. I just competed in a show in November. Formal Muscle, it's a team that we have. It's for awareness. I have extreme passion for it, and I can use it to give back. So I'm all about it.
For Spoke TV, I'm Mike Sellish.
There are over 50,000 Canadians living with cerebral palsy. Camilo Rivera talked to a Conestoga student who has found a way to alleviate his symptoms.
If you ran into Anthony Cecilia in the halls at Conestoga College, you would probably look twice. He has a hard time walking and keeping control of his body due to a disease called cerebral palsy.
I was diagnosed at a year old by a dietitian.
If you sat down with him for more than a minute, however, you'd realize that his impediments are only physical. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders that can affect brain and nervous system functions, such as movement, learning, hearing, seeing, and thinking.
There's my CP, which is referred to as the spastic CP. It's the most common. It affects the muscle tissue, and it affects the muscle coordination in the brain.
Anthony's family, his greatest support system, encouraged him to get involved in fitness since he hated going to physio. Going to the gym became a major part of his routine.
I have a specialized workout that I do tailored to my CP that is very beneficial to me, that I know that if I don't get it in at least twice, 3 times a week, then I know I can feel it. Like any other person, I will say, okay, maybe I don't want to go to the gym today, but then I have this nagging voice in my head that my father kind of reminds me, because he was so stubborn to me, and he basically stressed the importance of physical fitness, that I must do it. It must become part of my lifestyle and routine.
And although not everyone has always been understanding, Anthony still leads a normal life filled with family and friends.
My uncle put it to me this way. He's like, I'm very fortunate because I can sit here, I can talk, I can walk, and do all these other physical activities that any other human being can do. I just have to go about doing certain things a different way.
For Spoke TV, I'm Camilo Rivera.
That's all we have for you this week. For Spoke TV, I'm Sean Cassidy.
And I'm Farah Lev. For more campus news, visit spokeonline.com.